is a Learfield presentation of the Oregon Sports Network.
And Oregon is going to play in the national championship game.
Welcome to Duck Insider.
Man, it feels great to be a Duck.
Give it to me, baby. My house. I'm taking it there.
Their competitors, they'll want to put the O on.
Three, got it!
We're going to compete to a standard every day.
The Oregon standard.
Rebound. Tap it in. 1 point more to go.
The opportunity to play and put Oregon on your chest should mean a great deal to you.
Unloads on one into left field, back toward the wall. Gone!
This program is staged to compete and to win championships.
Oregon wins!
This is Duck Insider on the Oregon Sports Network from Learfield, presented by On Point Community Credit Union. Better banking, local solutions. Live from the Country Financial Studio, here's Joey Mack.
It is week 2 of Duck Insider, and it is day 4 of fall camp for the Ducks. They will be outside on the practice field this afternoon if you're live with us in the 1 o'clock hour. First practice in full pads is coming up. The Ducks were in shells yesterday. We'll hear a little bit from Coach Dan Lanning on the start of fall camp from earlier, a few days ago in camp. He met with the media, but this is the first time that we've had Duck Insider since Coach Lanning met with the media after the start of fall camp, so we have that for you, as well as defensive coordinator Tosh Lupoi. He talked with the media as well in anticipation of those first practices in partial pads in shells, or spiders as they call it. That's all coming up on today's show. In addition to Graeme Abel, Oregon soccer head coach, it is officially game week for Oregon soccer. The Ducks taking on Corban on Friday. Free admission. It is free to come out to Pape Field and see the Ducks take on Corban. It is the beginning of the Oregon athletic season officially on Friday. Now, I know some people are going to say, well, it's an exhibition. Is it really the beginning? Yes, I think it is. It is the first time to see organized competition that the Ducks are competing in this athletic season, this academic calendar. It is 7 o'clock in Eugene, Pape Field, the newly turfed Pape Field. Brand new looking facility. Encourage you to come check it out. Again, free admission at Pape Field for Oregon soccer on Friday against Corban at 7 o'clock. Elsewhere today, the USA Today coaches poll is officially out. Alabama is number 1, Ohio State is number 2, Georgia is number 3, Clemson is number 4, Notre Dame 5, Michigan 6, Texas A&M 7, Utah, the highest-ranked Pac-12 team at number 8, Oklahoma number 9, Baylor number 10, Oklahoma State at number 11, the Oregon Ducks at number 12. NC State behind them at 13, then Michigan State. USC checks in at number 15. Pitt is 16. Then Miami at 17. Texas 18, even though Texas got a first-place vote in the poll. I didn't. Wake Forest is 19, Wisconsin is 20, 21 Kentucky, 22 Cincinnati, 23 Arkansas, 24 Ole Miss, and 25 Houston. So again, Oregon checking in at number 12 for the second year in a row in the preseason coaches poll. The Ducks are in the top 15 for the 4th straight year, and Oregon is the second highest ranked team in the Pac-12, behind that number 8 Utah ranking. 3 Pac-12 teams in the top 15, 3 Pac-12 teams in the top 25 of the USA Today coaches poll. Oregon kicks off the season under Dan Lanning in Atlanta, September 3rd against Georgia, the defending national champions. They check in at number 3 in the rankings. So you got a 3 versus 12 in that kickoff game in Atlanta. Not bad, huh? Pretty fun matchup to kick off the season. Pac-12 had 3 teams in. SEC with 6, the Big Ten with 4, the Big 12 with 4, and the ACC with 5. We'll see how many Pac-12 teams end up in that final poll at the end of the year. We'll take some of your Facebook, YouTube comments, and questions if you're live with us in the 1 o'clock hour, but I want to get out of the way and let you listen to Dan Lanning. So this was after the first practice of fall camp wrapped up Friday afternoon. Ducks have since practiced a couple times. Well, we know that you want to hear from the head coach. Dan Lanning, the Oregon football head coach, meeting with the media.
What's going on, everybody? Good first day. Nowhere near where we need to be for game 1. But luckily we're not playing game 1 yet. A lot of work to do. Guys brought good energy. Definitely embracing the strain and the opportunity to get better. 1% is what we're looking for in each and everything that we do. So where can we find those percentage points to get a little bit better? That being said, we can open it up for questions.
It's like to just open things up where, other than a couple limited guys, you literally had everyone out there. compared to spring where so many guys were out?
Yeah, we're working. We're going to play with the guys that are here and available. We have a lot of those right now, which is good. Gives us an opportunity to practice the way we want to practice. Some two-spot drills where instead of having 11 on 11 guys going against each other where you're getting 22 people better, you got two fields going and you can get 44 people better and 88 when you start going ones and twos and threes and fours and young guys. So being healthy is obviously a real big benefit for us to continue to push and be available.
Was it execution? You said nowhere near where it needs to be, but was it execution
Also,
mistakes?
a lot of things. It's day one practice, and it's a level of toughness. It's a level of effort. It's a level of finish. Like, if you don't practice football every day, there's some of those things that go away, right? And you got to train them. You got to train those habits, and it's got to be harder right now than it is in the game. And you don't get that just by working out in the weight room. It's just not the same, right? So I'm pleased, right, where our guys were, but we're not ready to play a game. We got a lot of work to do.
You said you had been happy with the way the quarterbacks worked in the summer and in the off season. What ways did that show itself today?
The biggest thing is knowledge, like knowledge of our system. But in the spring, they probably had a second of hesitation of where do I take the ball, where do I go, what's the operational. They're much more, really comfortable in the system, and that's showing up.
Is there any intention in moving the practice to afternoon instead of morning? You're trying to get better weather?
Yeah, big picture. I mean, football needs to be tough. We want to strain, and we're going to play a lot of games those points in the afternoon. But it really sets up well with the way we do our walkthroughs, and the way we have our meetings, everything structured-wise. I feel like it sets up good.
Anything significant with TJ Bass today?
No.
And Justice?
No.
Any freshmen stand out at all? Jordan James, how's he doing? For example?
Jordan had a nice run today. That was a fun one to see. Kyler Casper, I think, had a nice catch. I'll tell you who kind of showed up as a newcomer is Chapman. Had a couple good deep balls. I think he's got to continue to push his conditioning, but there was a couple explosive plays that stuck out from those guys.
We've not had a chance to ask you about Chapman yet. What was it about him that kind of attracted you guys to
We got some guys on our staff that we're really familiar with. Caleb, they were there at A&M, got to see him day in and day out, and he's got great size, obviously that experience. I know he's been dinged up, but I think he's excited to be healthy and go work, and that's showing up.
In Media Day, you talked a lot about connection, and so did the players. How do you feel like that connection is really going to help you throughout fall camp?
Yeah, it's, obviously at the end of the day, when you go on the field, there's going to be tough moments. And to me, the connection is going to be a part that gets you through those tough moments. We talked about toughness after practice today. It's like everybody in the team meeting raised their hand and says, yeah, toughness is a good idea. Wait a minute, coach, are you calling me out for my – it's not such a good idea when I'm the guy getting called out, right? Yeah, that's the way it's going to be sometimes. You got to hear that. So if it's what we're about, we have to put it right in front of us and talk about it each day.
You worked in a culture at your former places. Now you're creating a culture yourself. What's different about the culture that you're cultivating rather than the ones you've worked in?
I don't know how to answer that question. We're just trying to do the best that we can absolutely do right here at the University of Oregon, and what we know wins games. There's a lot of pieces of that, and we're really focused on here.
Looked like Boyle got some punts in today. Is that something that he's going to end up staying in that competition a little bit?
Yeah, we're going to try to figure out who the best punter is, and we're going to play the best punter, right? If that's our backup left guard, he's going to practice punting, right? Right now, I think we have those guys that can compete, but Boyle can certainly help us there as well.
Do you think Marcus Harper can punt?
I don't know. You think he can?
I mean, tell me.
We got to give it a shot. I closed certain parts of practice so you guys don't get to see that, He might have been out there punting today.
You mentioned with Caleb having someone on the ground in A&M to maybe vouch for him. When you're looking at the portal, how important is that? I don't know, obviously Jordan and Casey were guys from Nebraska who Tony worked with. Is that, how much value is that in the portal?
I think there's a misconception with the portal that everybody's answers are in the portal, right? Your answers come from developing your own roster. Your answers come from recruiting young guys, right? Your answers come from having intimate knowledge of the people that you're going to go pursue. The one thing I can say about the guys that we went and actively recruited from the portal, we had intimate knowledge of those guys. We knew them well. Certainly is a benefit when it comes to guys like Caleb, Bucky, Jordan, all those guys, Casey.
Who did you know at Minnesota for Bucky?
We had a couple guys on staff that were familiar with players and coaches on staff. We were able to get some good insight.
We look big picture for camp. Dan, is the plan to scrimmage a week from Saturday and the week after? Those Saturdays in particular?
Yeah, that's part of it.
How nice is it to have an experienced kind of offensive line going into this fall camp? They've done it before. They've been around the block a few times.
Yeah, I think the challenge there, they've done it, but the challenge there is how do you keep it fresh and creative, and you push them just as much as you're pushing other guys. So we're moving guys around in different positions. Certainly none of them have been anointed to being in their spots. There's going to be some shuffling there, and that's part about figuring out who your best five are up front. It's not just assumed because who it was before.
We look at specifically a running back, obviously ball security, pass protection, sure, certain traits, but what are some of those other traits beyond the obvious that you look at specifically at that position?
Really, for the most part, it's the obvious. Scoring touchdowns, right? Big explosive runs, taking care of the ball, able to protect, understanding the system, leadership qualities on the field. You know, what I'll say is there's some guys that we coached really, really hard this spring, and I saw some traits show up, you know, today of stuff, hey, this is something we want to see day one, and I saw that in the running back room from a few guys, so it was fun to see.
Almost every player in the media that we talked to said how much they improved their speed over the you know. So have you noticed the difference between spring and now the speed of the players?
Yeah, our guys look fast, but I'll say like around period 8 today, we look slow, right? So it's learning how to play fast consistently over time. We got to continue to do that and do a great job in recovery, but speed's certainly a big asset for us.
Running shape is a little different than football shape. How close do you feel like your players are to being in that football shape?
We're still about 20 practices away. Not there yet. We got plenty of work to do. You know, today was a good first day. We got a stacked day on top of another day on top of another day. So 24-hour wins.
24-hour wins. So next, after this break on the show, you're going to hear from the defensive coordinator 24 hours later. Tosh Lupoi met with the media after Saturday's practice, and I think you'll hear some of the same, building good days on top of good days. You probably saw, and maybe you read about it on GoDucks.com, but Mose and I even talked about that. Like, there is a bit of this honeymoon period, as Tosh Lupoi is about to discuss, and I think that the Ducks are now coming out of that, right? There's some excitement for the first day in pads, but then it's practice. You're working. When we come back, Tosh Lupoi, defensive coordinator, going to hear from him on the Oregon Sports Network from Learfield.
Hey Duck fans, we're all about protecting our home turf here in Eugene. You should do the same for your home with Country Financial Insurance. Most home insurance doesn't account for inflation, but with Country Financial, yours can. If something happens to your home, make sure you can rebuild the same house in the same place. Call a local representative or 866-COUNTRY and get a solid defense for your home. Home insurance policies issued by Country Mutual Insurance Company, Country Casualty Insurance Company, or Country Preferred Insurance Company, Bloomington, Illinois. Property must meet age and condition requirements, which vary by state.
From the weight room to the classroom, on the field and off it, On Point proudly supports University of Oregon athletics because student athletes do so much more than bring us pride on game day. They bring our entire community together in Eugene and all across Oregon. So whether you're watching the game in the stadium, at home, or at your favorite local business, their success makes all of us stronger. On Point Community Credit Union, onpointcu.com. Federally insured by NCUA, Equal Housing Opportunity.
Don't go anywhere. Duck Insider continues after these messages on the Oregon Sports Network from Learfield.
Ready for our little forest adventure?
Yes! So much waiting for me. Yeah, I wanna go outside. I wanna be.
We're here.
Whoa, that was fast.
There's a forest closer than you think. Find a park or forest near you and music inspired by nature at discovertheforest.org. Brought to you by USDA Forest Service and the Ad Council.
You're not too cool for me. And in return, I reciprocate that sentiment. I'll never be too cool for you. I was a man with a plan, but now I'm a dad with a decree, and you can't take that from me. Please let it be noted that I told my job they can dock my pay. Right now, it's just too important to take you to school every day. I want to be legendary for you. I want you to puff out your chest when you go to school, the same way I do. I walk taller because of you, because I found everything to live for.
That's dedication. Visit fatherhood.gov to hear more. Brought to you by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services and the Ad Council.
Back inside the Country Financial Studio, it's Duck Insider, presented by On Point Community Credit Union. Joey Mack here with you. Over the weekend, the Ducks continuing the start of fall camp. They're back at practice today. And Oregon, I was actually just looking to confirm, but the first day in shells is today. So the Ducks were in helmets and spiders on Friday and Saturday. They were in shells on Sunday. Then they are going to be in shells today. And then you're getting toward full pads coming up on Thursday is my understanding of the current schedule. So the Ducks are ramping up toward that first day in full pads. And I bring that up because it was one of the discussion points with the defensive coordinator, Tosh Lupoi. He talked with the media about a number of different things after practice on Saturday.
Takeaways from day two?
The guys
are coming out and attacking, really respecting how the group is answering the challenges. Now it's kind of like the honeymoon, right? So we're all excited, day 2 beginning, new crew, new defense, new staff, all that stuff. So we're building this culture all together, coaches included, but I am excited about the direction we're going.
How different is it from your perspective, even of the interior of the defensive line, when you have 3 guys back, 2 transfers, 2 freshmen, 7 different bodies compared to the spring?
Yeah, really excited to have the individuals we have. To be honest, and it's always like this at this level of play, it's difficult to assess those guys with no pads on, so sometimes guys will look a lot better like in underwear Olympics, and we'll find out probably a lot more building starting tomorrow when we get into we're going to have some pads on, I believe, so start finding out up front what we're really made of.
Dan was really crediting Brandon quite a bit, by way of Dorless, that is, of just what he's done this offseason. What have you seen from him heading into the fall camp?
Yeah, he's worked for it, and I think he's got definitely tunnel vision focus on what he wants to do this season. So the challenge is doing it one day at a time. So I know his sights are set on some really big goals, and I think that's our job along with him to really understand the importance of attacking it on a daily basis.
Where do you see room for improvement for him still? What areas do you want to see him over the next month kind of shore up?
I think, I could be here for a couple hours probably per individual. So we all have a long ways to go, a lot of improvement ahead. But there's some things, he offers us some versatility. So he's someone that we can tax if he can handle it mentally, in some multiple spots on our defense because of that versatility. He's a bigger guy that can move well. So once we get our pads on, we'll start to find out a lot more about him and everybody else in our defense.
At Media Day, Noah called Justin the team spirit animal. In what ways does that show itself out there?
I know of 5 Justins. No, 4. Flo? Yeah. Okay, what'd you call him?
He was the team spirit animal. That's what Noah said.
Spirit animal?
Yeah.
Okay. I don't know what he means by that.
Just that he's probably just embodies the identity of the team.
Okay. I'm not sure. We haven't been talking a lot about spirit animals in the defensive meetings, so I don't know.
In what ways does kind of Justin kind of showing his personality that he has out there on the field, and also Justin and Noah together, what that's like out there, having them both there in the middle of your defense?
I'm excited to have his presence. He's someone, the thing I love about Justin is we got to constantly tell him to slow down, and I'd rather do that than have to demand someone every day to speed up. So he's a guy that you got to constantly remind to slow down. Sometimes a walkthrough looks like it's 4th and 1 with the game on the line. But I love his intensity, I love his mental focus, and really excited about the potential that he can serve in our defense.
At what point do you get the importance of improving his coverage skills? Just where do you see that? Where's the improvement have to come, and how has he done so far through off-season workouts?
I think he's challenged himself. So if you just look at his body and his body weight, he's really committed to that. So, he's a guy that can move from point A to point B with a lot of speed and violence. And he's a guy that has some versatility to his game, really, as well. So, we put a lot on that position at times of what he needs to do, from a coverage standpoint. And he's been doing a nice job of answering those for us.
Coach Lanning wanted to see a little bit more toughness. Did that come out today in practice at all? Did you notice?
I think it was really good to see how the defense responded at the end after at times giving up way too many explosive plays to finish. However, again, I think a lot more will be telling as we get pads on.
Yeah, you mentioned the honeymoon phase a little bit. So does that end when pads go on in your mind a little bit?
Yeah, a little bit. Or, it's still first day of pads, so we'll be really excited. And, so will everybody else in the country that gets that day. And then we'll find out. I think toughness will come along with as you do it each day. Can we wake up? Can we come to the meetings with the right intensity? Can we have the attention to detail that's required? Can we mentally lock in when we need to? And then when we go out in the field, can we execute it with some physicality and violence?
You guys added 3 freshmen in the secondary over the summer. Just curious in terms of corner versus safety for each of them, for Kamari, Trajan, and Tucker, just where are you lining those guys up at first?
Yeah, I think it's important in this defense. We do there's a lot of variety we ask of these guys. You know, we're a multiple defense, all right? So we're not going to typically play a guy at one position. You know, we want to move him around. It can tax him mentally at times, but we want to find out how do we get our best 11 on the field. You know, that's to me, in my opinion, of what a good coach and a good program can do is, you know, utilizing their best 11. So per situation of football, whatever that requires, we're going to do our best to put the best 11 out.
What's your philosophy on leading on freshmen, Tosh? Because I realize further away from the ball, generally the faster they can possibly see the field. But you had the luxury of not having to do that a lot since Marlon and Minka, and those were first-round picks. So just what's your philosophy in terms of how soon freshmen really can be thrown to the Lions?
Yeah, I wouldn't agree with you as far as, you know, at the tradition where I was at, the place you mentioned, we played true freshmen all over the place. So it's going to come down to, again, who can handle it mentally and who the best on the field is. So, you know, if there's a younger guy that can offer us an advantage, he's going to play for us. And then it's got to be my job and the coach's jobs that, you know, we make complexities clear.
As you stack day after day and eventually weeks after weeks, how do you evaluate progress during fall camp for the defense?
I think we challenge them every day to operate to the standard. So, you know, in the spring ball, did a lot of positive reinforcement, right? Again, now we got a reality check, right? So now we're going to point out what's not to our standard, and we're going to celebrate what is.
So you guys had referees out there today. How active were they?
How active were the referees? I think they executed their job. There was a lot of flags.
More than you'd like? Okay.
You know, but, you know, both sides of the ball, you know, we're going to try to replicate game day in every possible way, and that's another one right there.
And adding Casey and Jordan, I know obviously the relationship with Tony there, but what do you see from two veteran guys who were able to add in the D-line at the transfer portal?
Excited, you know, and mostly too about the additions to our culture with those guys. So those guys have done everything we've asked of them from a nutrition standpoint, what they're doing in the weight room, on and off the field, and now on the field. Now again, we'll find out a lot more as we move forward in camp. So hard to assess right now, you know, where we're at from that standpoint, but definitely love them as people and having a part of this program. Really excited to be coaching them.
At what point do you start implementing a game plan for UGA instead of more general install for the defense?
Yeah, we're a major focus on us right now, you know, so that's kind of sacrilegious for us. We're so far away from where we want to be, you know, head in that direction, but we're not referring to any other team. You know, it's all about us, and it's about how we can improve. Morning, afternoon, we're going to go up and correct this film right now as an entire staff. We're going to go right back in and coach our asses off in the meeting room to improve. So that's all we're focused on right now.
A lot of good stuff from Tosh Lupoi. I really loved what he talked about. We mentioned this in the Quack Minute on Saturday that, you know, there is sort of that honeymoon period. It's like the first day of school, right? It's like the first week of school. Then you get into the second week of school, and it's like, oh, man, it's school. Like that's kind of how fall camp feels sometimes, right? Like you have that initial excitement period, and then you move on from there, and it's like, all right, there's work to be done. Not that they're not working in that first week. I don't want to be misunderstood, because I was thinking about this after Rob and I talked about that sort of idea of a honeymoon period, and I was like, well, I don't want it to sound like the guys weren't taking practice seriously for the first few days, because they were. Believe me, they were out there on the practice field. Learning a lot about this defense, though, and, you know, I said this a lot in the spring coming into a lot of practices with Dan Lanning taking over, what the defense was going to look like. And I think multiple is the best definition, and I honestly feel that in today's college football, you have to have a multiple defense that can be versatile. I think versatility is maybe the biggest key to a successful defense, having guys that can play in different spots, because you hear coaches all the time talk about having the best players on the field. Well, sometimes your best safety might be also your best cornerback. Sometimes your backup cornerback might also be your best backup safety. And so having guys that can play multiple spots, I think it's so valuable. And I think that unfortunately, in the context of the larger season, you're going to have injuries. You're going to need guys to step up in different spots. And I think in this defense, that's one of the things that they're really looking for. And I like that. I think that certainly the defense that Dan Lanning ran at Georgia worked out pretty darn good. didn't it? They won the national championship last year. Now we'll see what they can do here at Oregon. When we come back, some news and notes on Oregon volleyball, some all-conference preseason honors, and then Graeme Abel, head coach of Oregon Soccer, going to be with us. And we've yet to hear from Ty Thompson, one of the Oregon quarterbacks battling for this job. That's coming up on the Oregon Sports Network from Learfield.
Now's the time to visit your local Toyota dealer and find yourself in a stylish and fuel-saving RAV4, Corolla, or Camry. Or climb behind the wheel of the rugged Tundra, Tacoma, and more. Toyota's national sales event is on. Toyota, let's go places.
At Shadow Hills Country Club, our all-inclusive event pricing allows us to take care of all of the details while you enjoy your event. Our wedding garden, expansive grounds, ballroom, and meeting rooms can accommodate any size event and come complete with full catering and service staff. From weddings to business and social events, Shadow Hills offers the benefits of a resort atmosphere and the peace of a country setting just minutes from downtown Eugene. For more details, call us today or go to shadowhillsevents.com.
Now's the time to visit your local Toyota dealer and find yourself in a stylish and fuel-saving RAV4, Corolla, or Camry. Or climb behind the wheel of the rugged Tundra, Tacoma, and more. Toyota's national sales event is on. Toyota, let's go places.
Duck Insider continues after this timeout on the Oregon Sports Network from Learfield.
Hi, I'm Smokey Bear, and I made an assistant to help you out, because only you can prevent wildfires.
Hey, Assistant Smokey Bear. Call me Papa Bear, because I'm grilling up dinner. Do you get it?
Yes, good job.
So, what should I do with all these coals?
Don't just toss them out. Put them in a metal container because those embers can start a wildfire.
I understand. The stakes are high.
Ha, 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 ha.
Learn more at SmokeyBear.com.
Brought to you by the U.S. Forest Service, your state forester, and the Ad Council.
Uh-oh, Brad's buzzed.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, he's starting with the woots. And now a speech.
I just want to say that friendship is about heart and brain. Who's with me?
Good thing is, he knows when he's buzzed.
And my brain is saying, when it's time to go home, somebody call me a ride.
Love that guy.
Me too.
Know your buzzed warning signs? Call for a ride when it's time to go home. Buzz driving is drunk driving. A message from NHTSA and the Ad Council.
We're back on Duck Insider, presented by On Point Community Credit Union. Joey Mack here with you. Dan Lanning, Tosh Lupoi, their interviews from this weekend. Offensive coordinator Kenny Dillingham scheduled to meet with the media after practice this afternoon if you're live with us in the 1 o'clock hour, in addition to some student athletes. And then the Ducks are also, throughout the course of fall camp, we'll hear from all of the assistant coaches, which, honestly, that's one of my favorite interviews throughout fall camp, is to hear from the position coaches, because those are guys that you don't hear from as much, as the coordinators, as the head coach, and I think it's just fun to get to know those guys a little bit. Every time we talk to a coach this year, it's brought to you by the Willamette Valley Cancer Institute and Research Center. Fight like a duck with exceptional cancer care close to home. Before we hear from Ty Thompson, in advance of the upcoming volleyball season, and by the way, Matt Ulmer will be with us on the show again tomorrow, head coach for the Ducks, Brooke Nuneviller and Hannah Pukis have been named to the preseason All-Pac-12 team as announced by the league office. Oregon opens the season August 27th at the Rose City Showdown in Portland. Ducks also received one first-place vote, and they are fourth in the Pac-12 preseason poll. Both the preseason team and rankings were voted on by the league's head coaches. Nuneviller coming off a tremendous fall campaign. She was an AVCA All-America second-teamer for a second consecutive season. She's the reigning Pacific North Region Player of the Year. And then Pukis, a transfer from Washington State, a two-time AVCA Pacific North All-Region performer, and was an AVCA All-America Honorable Mention selection following the 2021 spring season. She comes in playing setter, and I think this is going to be a fun year. The Ducks are behind Washington, who picked up 8 first-place votes, then Stanford, UCLA, Oregon. Now, all of those 4 teams in the preseason poll each received 1 first-place vote, and 2 Ducks on the preseason All-Pac-12 team. Now, I have a feeling that Matt Ulmer will say something to the effect of, when he's on the show with us tomorrow, that is, he'll say something to the effect of, that's great, appreciate it, but now let's see what happens at the end of the year. Ducks would like to finish a little higher than 4th, I'm sure, in the Pac-12 standings at the end of the season. Maybe have a few more, right? all conference standouts. We'll see. We heard from a lot of players on Media Day last week, and we've yet to get to all of them on the show. I want to hear from Ty Thompson today, one of the quarterbacks duking it out to be the starter for this team. Ty Thompson, he met with the media and was, well, as you can imagine, a popular guy to chat with heading into fall camp.
Where do you feel like you've grown the most this summer, and how impactful was the Manning Academy?
Well, the most I've grown this summer, I feel like, in my independent film study and the training that I've done away from the school and the program, in the off season, I feel like I've grown with my accuracy, and then with the film, I feel like I've grown with my decision making, my recognition of defenses, my process of making decisions, all of that. And then the Manning Passing Academy, that was some of the most fun I've had around football in a long time. That was such a must needed a refresher for me. I mean, getting around the kids was really, really fun, and then competing with some of the best quarterbacks in the nation. It was a blessing to be there. And then I did pretty well, so it was just a really good refresher for me.
You talk about improving and kind of film studying that stuff. Is it exciting to think about getting out in the practice field and testing that knowledge, how it actually tangibly works out?
100%, yeah. I feel like since I've got here, I've learned so much about football. I wish I knew what I knew now in high school. I would have been the best thing that ever came out of high school. But no, I feel like the amount of football I've learned in the past year and a half that I've been here, and I just keep learning more every day. So being able to get that on the field and see it kind of come to fruition is going to be fun.
Coach Lanning, he was talking about how it's an open competition for the quarterback spot. How confident are you heading into fall camp?
I'm always confident. If you're not believing in yourself, who is going to believe in you? So I have the utmost confidence in myself, but at the same time, it's an open competition, like you said. So the other guys, Jay, Bo, are just as good as me, So they earn the reps they're going to get, and I'm going to earn mine. So yeah.
Now that you've learned more of this offense that Dillingham is implementing, how excited are you to kind of get out on the field and actually start putting it into practice?
Yeah, I'm very excited. Coach Dillingham's offense is a lot of fun to run as a quarterback just because it's a lot on you. And then when you get it right, it's just some of the most fun. You turn around, he's smiling, you're both smiling, you throw a touchdown, whatever it is. It's a lot of fun, really explosive, so it's going to be fun to watch for sure.
Coach said he finally beat you and Jay in cornhole yesterday. Is that pretty competitive?
Listen. We went to his house a month or two back, and me and Jay mopped him. I don't think we lost a single game. And so he got his get back. He recruited, I guess, the best guy on the staff. He pulled him to wherever he was at yesterday, the Donor's house. And we mopped him the first game 21-1. And then they came back and beat us back-to-back. They can have the 2 games. We won 4 in a row. It's okay.
Coach Lanning really talks about connection. How do you feel like this team has really embraced that, and what does it mean to you?
Yeah, I feel like this new staff has done a really good job making it not forced. All of our team events have been a lot of fun. Yesterday, we were at the Donor's house and we were all playing cornhole. I was competing against Coach Lanning. I was talking so much trash to him. You're playing basketball, whatever we're doing. I feel like this team is a lot tighter. We're really good friends. We have a lot of fun doing stuff. The coaching staff is real young, so they're getting into stuff with us. Coach Love did a cannonball into the ice bath yesterday with us, so it was just a lot of fun stuff like that.
Some of the players already have talked about these get real meetings that you guys have and how much they've meant to them to kind of share and open up with teammates. Can you speak a little bit about what that has meant to you and how that's helped create a bond with your teammates?
Yeah, the get real meetings are I feel like they're real essential to this program just because of the connection, like she mentioned, is probably the most important thing you can have on a football team. Playing for someone next to you and then you really know their story, their why, what makes them tick. It really just creates that bond that some teams might not have, and then it just brings the game to another level for the team.
Have you experienced that with any other level of play or other teams?
In high school, my junior and senior year, playing with my best friends, that was some of the tightest I've been with my players, my teammates. And then this past 6 months, 8 months, I feel like it's been just like I said, it's so seamless and so effortless that we just come together as friends and teammates. I feel like it'll be a lot of fun to play with them this year, not just football. It'll be fun too.
What do you admire about Bo and Jay as quarterbacks, their skill sets?
Yeah, I feel like Bo's a natural born leader. He's a coach on the field sometimes. He's obviously older. He's going to his 4th year in college, and he's been there, done that in the SEC. So he knows his way around the field, and he just does a really good job vocalizing and doing stuff like that. He's a really good athlete. We all know that. And Butters I love Butter just because he's a really good friend of mine. He's a lot of fun to be around. He's a really good quarterback, talented with his arm, accurate, knows his arm strength, all that stuff. So both of them are really good players, though.
Ty, what quality does someone need to have to be successful as an Oregon quarterback in this system?
I mean, Oregon quarterbacks, just like any quarterback, I mean, the most important thing you can do is be right with the football. Take care of the football, because possessions and limiting turnovers is the most important thing you do as a quarterback. Making the good decisions, like I said, and putting the ball in the right spot. Not necessarily having to be the most talented, or you can run a 4.4, throw the ball 80 yards, but putting the ball in the right spot the majority of the time, making the right decisions the majority of the time, that's probably the most important thing.
What was last season like for you, and how are you different now heading into your second fall camp?
Yeah, last season was a lot of patience for me. I feel like it taught me, a lot about myself and how I deal with adversity. And I feel like coming into this year, I feel like I'm really hungry to see the field. So I think it's taught a lot about how to handle adversity, how I come back from it, how I work for that. Because this season is going to be a lot of fun. So yeah.
What's it been like watching Dan over the past few months kind of grow as a coach? He talked earlier about getting in on offensive meetings and trying to grow away from just the defensive side of ball.
Yeah.
What's that been like from the outside perspective?
I would have never guessed that this is his first time being a head coach. Like, he's an outstanding coach, and it just comes naturally to him. Like in front of team meetings, he's just a natural leader, natural head coach. Like you said, he's sitting in on our offensive meetings, learning the most. He's answering questions in the back. Like, he's volunteering himself to learn stuff on the offense. So Coach Lanning's done a really good job kind of holding himself accountable to learn more and more things, because he's got to be a well-rounded head coach, but it also comes so naturally to him.
Ty Thompson, one of the quarterbacks battling for the job for the Ducks. We'll, of course, be talking about that all throughout fall camp. And Kenny Dillingham's meeting with the media this afternoon, or he's scheduled to after practice. He'll get asked about the quarterbacks. Dan Lanning's going to meet with the media again this week. He'll get asked about the quarterbacks. And I don't know if there's an equivalent to that position in soccer, or what the rest of the world calls football. Graeme Abel, Oregon soccer head coach, is here in studio.
Are you going to ask me about the quarterbacks?
Yeah, who do you think?
Joe Montana.
There you go. I like that answer.
Is he still playing?
No, his sons are.
Oh, he is? Okay.
But as a 49ers fan, I really appreciate that. Is there an equivalent in soccer to American football's quarterback? Is it your goalkeeper? Who is it?
In the modern game, probably your 6. Or you could look at your centre backs as well in terms of setting play. The attacking side, you can look as a 10. I mean, it depends on how you play.
Yeah, because everybody always says, like, well, the quarterback's like the point guard, in basketball. Yeah. And the quarterback's kind of like a combination of the catcher and the pitcher in baseball. So yeah. I was curious.
Modern game, probably the 6.
Okay. Graeme Abel, Oregon soccer head coach. We're going to learn something. And by the way, it's game week, ladies and gentlemen.
We're on.
It's game week. Friday, free admission against Corban, 7 o'clock at Pape Field. More coming up. Stick with us. Graeme Abel's live in the studio on the Oregon Sports Network from Learfield.
From the weight room to the classroom, on the field and off it, On Point proudly supports University of Oregon athletics because student athletes do so much more than bring us pride on game day. They bring our entire community together in Eugene and all across Oregon. So whether you're watching the game in the stadium, at home, or at your favorite local business, their success makes all of us stronger. On Point Community Credit Union, onpointcu.com. Federally insured by NCUA, Equal Housing Opportunity.
Hey Duck fans, we're all about protecting our home turf here in Eugene. You should do the same for your home with Country Financial Insurance. Most home insurance doesn't account for inflation, but with Country Financial, yours can. If something happens to your home, make sure you can rebuild the same house in the same place. Call a local representative or 866-COUNTRY and get a solid defense for your home. Home insurance policies issued by Country Mutual Insurance Company, Country Casualty Insurance Company, or Country Preferred Insurance Company, Bloomington, Illinois. Property must meet age and condition requirements, which vary by state.
Duck Insider, your home for the latest news on Oregon athletics on the Oregon Sports Network from Learfield.
To your children's eyes to see the true magic of a forest. It's a storybook world for them. You look and see a tree. They see the wrinkled face of a wizard with arms outstretched to the sky. They see treasure in pebbles. They see a windy path that could lead to adventure. And they see you, their fearless guide through this fascinating world.
Find a forest near you and start exploring at discovertheforest.org. Brought to you by the United States Forest Service and the Ad Council.
Adopt US Kids presents What to Expect When You're Expecting a Teenager. Learning the lingo.
Jelly. Jelly adjective. Jelly is a shorter, better way to say jealous. As in, Chloe, I am like so jelly of your unicorn phone case.
You don't have to speak teen to be a perfect parent. Thousands of teens in foster care will love you just the same. Visit adoptuskids.org. Brought to you by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, Adopt US Kids, and the Ad Council.
We're back inside the Country Financial Studio. It's Duck Insider, presented by On Point Community Credit Union. Back from the trip to the coast, Graeme Abel, Oregon soccer head coach. Hey, we talked with you for the first time last week. Said that you guys were getting ready for practice to begin. Made a trip out to the coast, little team bonding, little training, catch fans up. How did it go, and welcome back?
It was awesome. Great weather out there. A little cooler out on the coast, but I went up to Lincoln City. There's a training facility up in Newport. We're going to train that, and we have one house on the beach, one house on the ocean, on the lake there. So nice. It was. I mean, it's such an awesome place out there, and we're so lucky to have a coastline like that. It's so. I'd never been there before I moved to Oregon. Never been to the Oregon coastline before, and it is. If you've never been out there, fans, you need to get out there.
Yeah, it's a cool spot. We have some of the pictures, those of you that are watching the show, from the trip. For
that looks like
team.
a Navy SEAL video right there.
It really does.
That's Cam, our sports scientist. He looks like Sergeant Kissick right there. So.
That's full on. Yeah, I mean you're right on.
Hell Week right there.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah. Well, I asked you last week. So do you do any training on the beach? Did you end up doing anything on the beach?
No. We did all our recovery out there. We got some really good loads in terms of the sessions. We got lots of different things done.
Cool.
And the main piece was to come back and make sure as we go through preseason, it's, I don't think it's the old days of 2-a-days, 3-a-days anymore. Yeah. It's making sure that we protect the student athletes throughout the weeks and that we're in the best place possible going into our games.
Hey, to that point, and you and I touched on this a little bit in interviews past, but I think it's worth bringing up again heading into a season. The sports science piece has become so, I don't want to say so much bigger, because I think that depending on who you talk to, it's always been a focus, but I think it's much more known among maybe the general fans, just like how much coaches utilize that information, how much student athletes utilize that information. Could you just kind of update fans on your perspective on that? Because certainly the old school, air quotes, was, work them, but then it may not work out at the end of the season. Yeah. And you're coming at it much more from the it's the long game kind of a thing.
Yeah, from my perspective, you've got to include everybody. You're going to include the medical side, the sports science side, the strength and conditioning side, the mental health side, the nutritional side. And once you put all of those together, you kind of get this holistic, picture of each individual athlete, where they sit, and over time we start to gain a profile of the athlete. Right. Where they need development in the future, where they are right now. Where they sit from a wellness piece morning to morning, and what do they need individually. And so you take advantage of all your resources basically to set every student athlete up for success. But then, like you said, the long game of making sure that our goal is to be at our very, very best once we hit November, going into the postseason. And so I think you either go all in on the performance and sports science side, or you don't go in on it at all. I don't think you can go in with 1 foot in.
That's interesting. Now, have you noticed that student athletes and athletes that you've worked with in your career, are they much more not necessarily receptive, but they think about this sort of stuff a lot more?
I think it's how you educate them. I think we have James, James French, our nutritionist. He'll come in and do education sessions with them. It's not telling them this is how to do it. It's educating them along the way, between Ben, Cam, and Jordan with sports science. They'll educate along the way. G, our athletic trainer, he'll educate on different pieces. So it's layering education along the way. And for the ones that want to go play professionally, if you want to go have a professional career, this is what needs to happen. If you have a great collegiate career, this is what needs to happen. And so it's not forcing it down their throat. It's educating them for the benefits for the entire piece. Like we said, the mental health piece is so important now to making sure there's not that overload mentally as well. So we try to take care of them across the board.
He's Graeme Abel, Oregon Soccer head coach. 7 o'clock, Pape Field, Friday, Corban. The first matchup, not just for Oregon Soccer, but for any Oregon team this academic and athletic year. More on that in a second, but I do want to ask you just, when you go on these trips like you guys did,
Yep.
it's more than just the soccer, the X's and O's, right? Like it's the bonding. Do you feel that as a coach, like throughout the weekend, just like the team gets to know each other?
Yeah, it is. I mean, it's, I think we've had this conversation in the past. You try to set it up so it happens organically, and then we'll try to set up little activities. I think I did better with my team quiz this time.
Oh.
I did one over COVID. And then, our strength coach won it, who's probably in his early 40s, mid-40s, and I realized that all my music was from my era, and it went right over our kids' heads. So I did better with it this time, and so I think it was Croy, Zoe, Trinity. I think their group won it, and it was fun. So yeah, you try to manage it so it happens organically, and we do different activities.
So what were some of the answers during the first test versus some of the answers on this test?
I don't know. I think I might have had some Journey in there and stuff
that.
And
that's timeless.
I threw the Top Gun theme song in the first one. It didn't go down well, I think, because we've got Top Gun 2 now. I threw the
theme was very similar in both movies.
I had the Matthew McConaughey, what is it, where he goes, that one
from
The Wolf of Wall Street.
Yeah.
I threw that in there. A few of them got that one. And then we threw a few general trivia ones in there. What country has the most lakes in the world?
Oh, interesting.
Someone answered Michigan. So,
not ideal.
So we're signing them up for geography.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. So it was Canada, according to Wikipedia. So and then Rachel, my assistant, she was the fact checker on it. So it was fun. We had a bit of Pictionary going on. So
I love Pictionary.
We did. We had a bit of that. So
Pictionary is a very underrated board game.
It was awesome. We did it on the tactical board. We've got a few people who are artists, a few people that are not. We found out that Caitlin Bakulba can play the piano.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, she can play Adele. She can play John Legend. Wow. So if we need a national anthem in Oxon this year, I'm sure she'll get on the keyboard and a little bit of Elton John.
I like that.
Yeah, I'm not so sure she's happy with me going public saying that she's going to play the national anthem.
I was going to say, you realize that she's now about to get a request from the marketing staff.
Yeah, so Caitlin, if you're listening, I'm sorry.
Rachel Doyle. Looking at you. She's in charge of marketing at Oregon. Okay. I like this. Graeme Abel joining us. Your goalkeeper, Leah Freeman, one of 12 players nationally named to the United Soccer Coaches Women's Goalkeeper Watch List on Friday. That's a pretty cool honor preseason for her.
It's awesome. She's been working extremely hard. She was actually out training with the KC Current before we came in. But all 4 of our goalkeepers, and we added 2 more in Julia Richards and Anna Solomon as well to the roster, and then Maddie Goldberg as well. So all 4 of them have been doing exceptionally well. So I feel really, really confident. We have 4 really good goalkeepers, and Leah's worked incredibly hard. She continues to do that.
Since you and I last spoke, it's become official, a new volunteer assistant coach for you. Tell us about the new addition to your staff.
Yeah, so we were able to, add him. He'd actually been in Eugene prior and been working at the University of Virginia with Steve Swanson, who was an assistant with me with the national team. And so when he was moving back, we had an opportunity to add him, and so he's going to be great, awesome on the video piece. It's obviously been another major conference in the ACC, so he brings some really nice experience to the staff as well.
Yeah, I got a chance to meet him last week, and man, I'm excited because anytime we add somebody to the wing, I have to warn them about the loudness that comes from the studio, and I should remind folks.
It's more of a buzz, I would say.
Is it?
It's
okay.
the buzz, that's what it is, yeah.
I appreciate you lying and saying that.
No, I'm not lying. Anytime you're near live TV, it's...
Well, we try, but I always tell folks when they walk by and they just hear this ruckus inside the studio, they just probably roll their eyes and go, oh, yeah, okay, yeah, we know what's going on in there. But we try to have fun, and so I have to warn everybody though when they're walking in. And Coach Lombardi told me one time, well, your guys' door is always shut. I feel like you don't want to talk to us and you don't want people to come in and visit you. And I said, oh no, it's actually the opposite. We don't want you guys to kick us out of the wing.
Well, for about 3 months, I wondered what was behind the door. And then one day, the door opens up and there's this TV studio, and I'm like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
So
And so you had seen it on YouTube, and then you're like, oh, it's literally right there.
It's Joey Mack.
Yeah. So, well, good. I'm glad that there's a buzz, and it's not just an eye roll, at least not all the time. Graeme Abel joining us. So tell us a little bit about Corban. I mean, is this an exhibition where you go in talking about them a little bit, but you're really worrying about you guys?
It's about us. It's about, putting the things in place that we need to look at, real game pictures from what we've done at practice, and what does that look like? What do we need to adjust going into the New Mexico State game? So, we make it about us. What do we want to get accomplished? What do we want to see from the game? How can we use as many players as possible to get everyone some experience? So it's more about us, and so we've had a really good first week. We kind of use this next week now to add some additional pieces, and we'll see how it looks versus Corban.
There's such a focus in football, for example, on like the installation. Like, when do you feel like your playbook, for lack of a better phrase, is installed? Is that true with you guys as well? What's kind of the timeline there?
A little bit. You put the skeleton in place of what are the basics on how we defend. This is the basics of how we attack, and then as you go week to week, you start to add some more meat to that. And how does it look within games? What are the weaknesses in the opposition we're playing? How can we impose ourselves upon them, both defensively and from an attacking point of view? Set pieces as well. So you definitely have that real basic structure, and then you start to add pieces as you go along.
You've talked a lot with me in the past about how set pieces are such an important part of the modern game. To use that as an example that you said before the break, what's your philosophy, I guess, on teaching those important moments? Like, is that just so accepted as like, yes, this is the key to the modern game, or is that something that you do teach constantly, that like, oh no, this is something we really got to focus on?
No, we emphasize it. I mean, we really do emphasize it. I mean, I think I've ever said it publicly before. If you took every goal we conceded off of set pieces, took them off the table, last season, we're right up there at the top of the Pac-12. So it's important. And the team know that, and we let them know that all the time. So they know they have to study that piece. And I think I've told you this in the past, and I got told this by a Swedish coach, and he was saying that America is a set-piece country because all of our sports in the United States are set-piece sports. Coach calls in a play, you run it. So I think for the Americans, it's a natural thing, so we should be good at it.
Interesting.
It's part of our culture.
Free to the public. All set, ready to go. 7 o'clock Friday, Corban. The Oregon athletic season begins for Oregon soccer. What do you want to see? Lastly, I'll leave you with that. Just what do you want to see from your team? Sum it up for us a little bit. What are your keys?
Good energy. Good energy. That's something that's what we've been about the last 2 years. Is high energy. High impact. Impose ourselves upon the opposition. Be good in and around the 18-yard box, both on the attacking side and the defending side. And let's just go and enjoy it. First game of the season, so let's go and enjoy it and have a good time.
All right, enjoy it, have a good time. Open to the public. See y'all at Pape Field in that new turf on Friday. Coach, thanks for being here.
Appreciate it, brother.
Appreciate the time. We're going to get a timeout. When we come back, give you a little bit of an update heading into football practice today. What's to come on the show tomorrow? Deputy Athletic Director Eric Rodell is going to join us. A little preview of that next on the Oregon Sports Network from Learfield.
At Shadow Hills Country Club, our all-inclusive event pricing allows us to take care of all of the details while you enjoy your event. Our wedding garden, expansive grounds, ballroom, and meeting rooms can accommodate any size event and come complete with full catering and service staff. From weddings to business and social events, Shadow Hills offers the benefits of a resort atmosphere and the peace of a country setting just minutes from downtown Eugene. For more details, call us today or go to shadowhillsevents.com.
From the weight room to the classroom, on the field and off it, On Point proudly supports University of Oregon athletics because student athletes do so much more than bring us pride on game day. They bring our entire community together in Eugene and all across Oregon. So whether you're watching the game in the stadium, at home, or at your favorite local business, their success makes all of us stronger. On Point Community Credit Union, onpointcu.com. Federally insured by NCUA, Equal Housing Opportunity.
This is Duck Insider. Duck Insider on the Oregon Sports Network from Learfield.
The United States Deputy Sheriff's Association is a national nonprofit and the largest non-governmental provider of services to law enforcement. The USDSA assists city, county, state, and federal agencies with free safety equipment donations and officer survival training, along with cash donations to families of law enforcement officers who perish in the line of duty, college scholarships for the children of law enforcement, a citizen awareness program, and more. For more information on the USDSA and how you can help, visit usdeputy.org.
You're never completely ready to adopt a teen.
For late nights writing English papers.
For your teen's music taste.
For dinners where they talk more on their phone than with you.
For the first time, they call you Mom.
You're never completely ready to adopt a teen, and you can't imagine the reward.
To learn more about adopting a teen, visit adoptuskids.org.
Brought to you by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, Adopt U.S. Kids, and the Ad Council.
We're back on Duck Insider, presented by On Point Community Credit Union. Joey Mack here with you in the Country Financial Studio. Time for your Cafe Yum 2-minute drill. If you missed it earlier, Oregon volleyball, some preseason honors for Brooke Nuneviller and Hannah Pukas. Preseason all-conference, the Ducks picked to finish 4th in the preseason coaches poll. Oregon soccer, it is game week, 7 o'clock on Friday. Graeme Abel's squad taking on Corban in the first competitive event of this athletic season. Meanwhile, for Oregon football, they will be in pads for the first time this week as part of fall camp, and the Ducks are already looking forward to it. Tosh Lupoi, Dan Lanning, if you missed it earlier on today's show, you can catch it on the Oregon Sports Network podcast or on one of our archive broadcasts for Duck Insider on YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, wherever you consume the show. We got you covered. I do want to tell you a little bit more tomorrow as well about, the greater college sports landscape. Certainly, it was a very slow news summer. Nothing happened. So we're going to be talking with Eric Rodell about that, Deputy Athletic Director for the Ducks. He oversees baseball, helps a lot with football, basketball, tennis. We're going to talk with him about a number of different subjects. That's coming up on the show tomorrow. Your Cafe Yum 2-minute drill, always brought to you by our friends at Cafe Yum. Restaurants, locations, menus, special diet requests are always welcome. CafeYum.com. Tomorrow, elsewhere on the show, Matt Ulmer will join us. We'll have a lot of fun with the Oregon volleyball head coach. And then, again, Kenny Dillingham, Oregon offensive coordinator, will meet with the media after practice today. And if you're live with us in the 1 o'clock hour, I am getting off the air and then heading down to practice. Ducks practicing in the afternoon for the first few weeks of fall camp. And then it'll be into the morning getting ready for the matchup with Georgia before the Ducks travel to Atlanta. What else did we miss today? Anything? Nothing else happened. Maybe I'll be here tomorrow. We'll find out. See ya.
Victor deployed for the first time to Afghanistan in 2003. He sustained a moderate traumatic brain injury. One of the most important elements of caregiving is taking care of yourself.
For many military veteran caregivers, their caregiving journey starts earlier in life and lasts longer. Visit aarp.org/caregiving for a free military veterans guide to navigate your caregiving journey and better care for your loved one and yourself. Brought to you by AARP and the Ad Council.
When you're high,